here for another edition of the Beef Market Update with Ann Dunford. Welcome today, Ann.
Hi, Sean.
And I guess last week was a little bit interesting, the fact that Alberta live prices were down, yet U.S. prices were up. What is up with that?
Well, always frustrating time of year. We do often in Western Canada get this basis shift to a widening basis level in September. Historically, Sean, if you go back and look over time, September is one of the worst months for us here in Western Canada to find price arbitrage with U.S. prices, and part of it's we're into still some fairly good supplies of fat cattle. Packers have got some inventory around them. Kills aren't all that big, post Labor Day doldrums going on, and so as a result, Canadian packers just not quite as hungry. And but again, what's happened here in the last week or so really not unordinary from what we would see historically. So unfortunately, the month of September is a month where we tend to lose some ground vis-a-vis the U.S., and this one's not any different.
So how wide do you expect that basis to get?
Well, let's hope it doesn't get to where it normally does. Kind of the historical before BSE numbers in the teens, like minus $13, $14. So we didn't quite get to double digits last week, but I guess there's a potential we could get towards that $10 mark as we go forward over the next few weeks. So that's the kind of basis levels that are typical historically.
And do you think that we could possibly get there?
Yes, I do.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's again, we've got, and we were going to talk a little bit about demand, but product is kind of sticky. It's priced fairly high at retail right now. So packers have got their kills kind of ratcheted back. Of course, we've just come out of a holiday week, so hopefully that will help get a few more cattle through the system. But they're very comfortable, lots of beef in the system, and it's, like I say, it's kind of this post-summer drag on demand that we often see in September after Labor Day.
Yeah, no, we had chatted 2 weeks ago when we had talked about some of the early numbers in terms of the yearling prices for the feeder run were quite steamy. How are they looking now?
Well, steamy continues, and I just wanted to put some numbers around comparisons to a year ago and historical, but the current levels that we're trading these grass cattle and the early calf pricing, yearlings about $18 to $20 higher than they would have been this time a year ago, and calf prices $25 to $30 higher than this time a year ago. And again, if you're keeping track historically, these would be the highest prices that we've seen since 2001. If you're a seller of grass cattle or calves, you're going to say long overdue. It's time to make some money so we can stop the sell-off of the cow herd. Of course, if you're a buyer of these cattle, you've got a different viewpoint.
Yeah, from the rancher's perspective, we do, like as you mentioned, the highest feeder prices since 2001 right now. Economically, how does it look for the cow-calf producer in Western Canada?
Well, this, again, based on averages, and it's always tough to put a cow-calf producer in Western Canada in an average bracket because there's so much variation across the prairies, but nevertheless, this most certainly should put them in a profitable position. But after many, many years of losses, we're looking at 1 year of profitability, and we're going to need to see several back to back. But at least it's a start.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted, was the kind of the context of it sound highest prices since 2001, but does that mean actual black ink for the cow-calf as it looks right now for this coming feeder run? As it
looks right now, again, and we are looking at, of course, higher costs, generally speaking, to operate, but, of course, lots of forage, so hay prices not like they were a year ago or for the past couple of years. So, again, when you put the whole ball of wax together, it's a little early to kind of nail it down, but I'd take a wild stab at, possibly around $50 to the black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so we got the bases widening. Feeder prices are strong. What do the inventory numbers look like?
Well, I think we had our summer kind of check on inventory from StatScan here a couple weeks ago, and I know we hadn't talked about it. Overall, numbers are still down pretty close to 1% from a year ago. If you're looking at the beef cow herd, which is, of course, our factory, we watch that when we talk about what we've got coming ahead for feeder cattle supplies. They were still down 2% from last summer, so numbers still down. What's interesting, though, is you start to pick away and look at the beef heifer replacement numbers. So what's being retained, or what at that point when StatScan did the survey, what's the intentions out there. And nationally, it was up nearly 7%. In Alberta and Saskatchewan, two of the biggest, of course, the biggest cow-calf provinces saw the biggest increases. Alberta beef heifers for replacement up 8% and Saskatchewan up 12%. So I think the signals are getting there, and most certainly more interest in retaining heifers this past year. And again, I think that'll be the case as we head into the fall of 2011.
So this possibly could be the year we possibly see a little bit more heifer retention?
I think so. And again, the question is, for sure you can say there's heifer retention going on. You can. The next question you have to ask is it enough to offset the cows that are going to town? And the answer to date has been no. But I think as we move into 2012, that answer is going to turn into yes. Finally, we're keeping enough heifers, and we're stopping the aggressive sell down of cows that we've seen over the past, since 2008. And we're going to finally start to see some growth in our cow herd that I think you'll start to see show up next year. But remember, that's not going to show up in our beef production numbers for another couple of years down the road.
It's a slow process.
Very slow, yeah.
So what about the U.S.? We've been hearing about this drought. There's a lot of people that have been forced to move cattle earlier than they ever would have wanted. How is this severe drought and some of the fires we're seeing in Texas now, how much is that going to affect some of the retention possibilities and things like that?
Well, I really think this is going to dampen the prospects for any kind of beef herd recovery in regards to numbers in the U.S. And that's kind of sad to see, because most certainly the prices were starting to show that might be the case. But if you don't have pasture and you don't have water, you got a little bit of trouble keeping cows. The other impacts that, of course, you're seeing is a lot more cattle have gone on feed in feedlots because they can't stay at pasture, and so that we've seen that in the last couple of U.S. on-feed reports. I think when we talk about this again in 2 weeks, Sean, we're going to see it in the next report. So more cattle going on feed sooner, so it kind of skews where these cattle come out and are finished at. And the other factor I just wanted to mention, of course, our cull cow price here in Western Canada has been very flat now since the 1st of July. And one of the reasons for that has been the big movement of cull cows in the U.S., or cows going to slaughter in the U.S. because of that drought, and meaning more supply. Normally prices would have picked up through the summer, and they just haven't. So I don't think that's going to change. There's a lot of cow beef in the system in North America because of that drought.
Are the local feed yards in Western Canada, are they placing this high priced inventory at the possibility of profit?
Well, I'm sure there's obviously the feeling that at some point in time, while the cattle are on feed, there will be opportunities to hedge or contract the cattle at some kind of break even or profitability. That still is to be seen, obviously. And at the same time, you're running a hotel, and members need to come and go. So we're going to continue to see, I think, these smaller numbers still meet some pretty strong demand.
Yeah. Kayan, well, we will definitely talk to you again in 2 weeks, and I'm sure this is going to be a very, very interesting fall for everybody.
Never a dull moment, is it?
Talk to you later, Ann.
Thanks, Sean.